Firstly, with the disabled students, I'd work closely with the SU Disability Officer, creating awareness about all ability and ensures the continued success of the Paralympics that was held earlier this week. For students, as it says in my manifesto, I'm going to move sports fed to the third term so that final years teachers especially can attend sports fed. And then for mature students, I'd continue to do the Just Do It campaign, because they don't really want to be doing like your general rugby and everything, so they can do stuff like clay pigeon shooting and the more interesting sports.
What I do with disability students, I mean, obviously earlier this week the Paralympics was held. Maybe make it a sort of not a once a year sort of event, maybe make it so more aware within the union and within the sports in general. And for, obviously not just for disabled students, for people like myself at the moment who are injured, be able to get involved maybe in a bit more sort of wheelchair basketball and sit-down tennis, that sort of thing. With mature students, obviously, I mean, we've got the gym now and the sports centre, so maybe, you know, aerobics, water aerobics, stuff like that to do with Kingsmead, get them involved and just get, you know, every sort of ask people what they want and give them as much as we can.
Hey, over the summer I was working and also in current contact with the DABD, which is the Disablement Association of Barking and Dagenham, and I know that they are eager to promote themselves all around England. They currently promote Dagenham Football Club, but I'm in contact with them and I've also mentioned to them about getting involved with with this university, and they're really willing to do that, so that would be for the disabled area. For the people on placement and stuff like that, I totally agree with what Annie White is saying. It's a good thing to move big sports activities onto the third term so everyone can still get involved with things. And for the mature students, I currently work behind the SU bar and I see mature students coming all weekend, so it allows me to be in contact with them, and I'd like to organise some certain things where it's just mature students only, but it would be run by our students, so we're giving them something back.
I don't want to separate mature students, placement students and students with disabilities from every other student playing sports. I want to increase interaction between students with disabilities and sports teams that are already established. And to be honest, there's quite a lot going on for mature students and students with disabilities already. We're just lacking in the promotion of it. So if we work with the media, CCTV, Unified and CSR, then I think we can really get everyone involved in it.
With the All Ability Sports Club, I'd make sure it's more advertised. Unfortunately, the Paralympics that went on Monday, I didn't really hear that much about it before, so I'd obviously make sure it's a lot more publicised. With the placement, I'd probably have to disagree with moving it to the third term. What with like the nursing department is unfortunate. Well, it's bigger than the teaching, and they're all on placement in the third term. So by moving it to the third term, yes, you make the teachers happy, but then you don't make the nurses happy. And statistically, there are more nurses than teachers. But I would move it to a Friday so that there's more chance of being able to just get over the hangover on a weekend. And with the mature students, yeah, just make it more. Advertise it more. We've got a few mature students playing for the Chargers at the moment, so yeah, just advertise it.
Okay. I think to an extent, obviously, sports teams, they do run themselves. Being part of the women's football team for the past 4 years, I've been captain, I've been vice captain, and I've been social secretary, and work closely with the president, vice president, and anyone else who's elected in any position. And I know how hard it is when you've got loads of things, like especially at the beginning of the year, to get everyone signed on, to get kits sorted, social wear sorted. It is a bit of a mission, if you like. But, sorry, it's completely gone out of my head. Can you repeat the question quickly?
Can sports teams run themselves, or do they need you to help them?
To an extent, obviously, any sports vertical that I've ever worked with has helped massively in anything, any assistance that we've needed. Obviously, we've done printing ourselves for the past few years for t-shirts and stuff like that, but the union have helped us out, the sports verticals have done that. And with regards to varsity, big things like old girls, you know, your sports sabbatical does a lot for you behind the scenes that you don't see with fixtures.
If they didn't need us, then we wouldn't have a job really. So yeah, they do need our help. Yeah, we can run ourselves because obviously I'm in good contact with the president of football, and the captain of my football team is my best friend. We can organise things ourselves, like nights out and stuff like that. But when it comes to organising the kits and the fixtures and things like that, this is when you need someone that has got all the contact details on their computer. They're sitting in front of it every day doing the same, well, not the same thing, but doing their job day to day. They know all the information that we don't. So, yes, sports sabbatical is needed because otherwise all sports teams would just be shambles.
I think sports teams need the sports sabbatical. I think they should want the sports sabbatical. A team can run itself, but it has to be incredibly proactive and do a lot of work. And I know you all have degrees to do as well as sport, although we don't like to talk about it. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I'd agree with Morgan, but I think it's more specific to each club. Some big teams probably don't need as much help really as the little clubs. I know that American football in my first and second year, we needed the sports lab a lot, but I'm guessing rugby probably don't need them as much. I think if you start going in and trying to help out rugby and stepping on their toes, they may not be too happy. Obviously, if they ask for help, then I'd always be more than willing to give it, but sometimes you've got to let them go their own way, just to be, proactive.
Okay, sports teams, they can run themselves, but they need a strong committee to be able to do that for them. We do need the sports lab to help to do like the little things, like if there's a problem in your sport or anything, the sports lab is needed. Also, it relies a lot on the money. So if we need money to be able to, we need the participants, and then they give us the money, and then we need the money. We need the money.
Well, being social sec, obviously I love initiations because it is a good way to introduce all your freshers into your team. But with some initiations, they do get taken over the top. I mean, last year it was a bit quiet, and you saw the thing on the news about people taking things way too seriously, dressing up like Nazis and stuff. That's just taking it over the limit. Initiations are run quite well because everyone has to sign in, and then when you get to bars, you're sort of signed in again so people know that you make it. I just think that if we keep doing what we're doing and keep keeping a close eye on it, then it's alright. But when people start taking the mick, it also then comes back to us and we're the ones getting in trouble. So if we keep a good connection with people, and we keep a good strong relationship, a happy relationship with everyone, then I think it'll be alright and people won't take the piss out of us.
I think the way initiations are run at Christchurch at the moment is really good. I think each team does initiations to a different extent. I know that some small teams don't want to go so far with initiations in the fear of putting off people who want to join their team. But teams like rugby, maybe, and football, maybe, want to go further with their initiations, and that's fine as long as it's safe.
Yeah, I think initiations should go ahead. They are almost seen as like a rite of passage, but it needs to be controlled to some extent. The way we're doing it at the moment, I think is the best way, where you check them in and then just make sure they go okay. Obviously check what games they play just to make sure no one's going to get hurt. But yeah, I completely agree with initiations as long as it doesn't go stupid.
I'm in favour of initiations, having been to 3 different initiations while being in hockey. They're good for team bonding, and they can be inclusive, because I've made, during initiations is where you meet most of your friends for the rest of the time at uni, is what I think. But they don't always have to be based around drink. Like last year, for our initiations, we went to Planet Laser. So just about team bonding and having fun, not about the drink.
I definitely believe initiations should still be a very strong thing at the beginning of the year. Being initiated myself, it makes you then feel part of the team that you're joining. And holding two initiations last year and this year, I think I've been quite fair, and I've always said to the girls and all parts of the teams that we wouldn't make them do anything that ourselves wouldn't do or haven't done before. So, you know, not going ridiculously over the top. We have people that haven't drunk, that have joined teams. We're not going to make people do anything that they don't want to do. The way it's held at the moment, I think, is excellent, where, you know, you have to check everyone in. Like already has been said, we were one of the only teams that checked everyone in a couple of years ago, which is awesome. And you can all still have a good time, which I think is excellent.
Obviously, at the moment, fines are being used to discipline teams, which is all right, but I know that there are teams that don't use their self-funding accounts, so a fine is not going to impact those teams. Really, it's difficult without making teams hate you, taking away minibus privileges, etc. But yeah, it's depends how serious their crime was. Fines are fine for some teams, but they're not going to work for others. The rules.
I probably wouldn't fine them actually. I would sit them down and chat to them and find out first of all why they broke the rules. And then see if we can go along through that. I think finding them is probably a last resort because it can hurt teams, which does teach them a lesson, but I think maybe a few warnings, sit them down, find out why they're doing it, and yeah, take it from there.
As Morgan said, it depends on the severity of what's happened. So firstly, it depends. I'll take it to the committee and the general manager and decide the suitable actions to take further. Also, being a primary school teacher, I'm quite good at the different discipline activity.
As I've already said, obviously it depends on the severity of the crimes that have been broken. I know, being part of the women's football team over the past few years, you know, you do, without trying to, you do tend to get in trouble a few times for things that cannot be helped after everyone's had a few bevies. And it just, like I said, depends. You know, if it's something to do with fixtures, to do with the actual sport in general, there's always ways of, you know, if they keep doing it, keep missing games, stuff like that, or kicking off at games, you can get them deducted points, which no one's ever going to want in leagues. If it's something outside on nights out and stuff like that, you know, then you can think a bit more seriously about maybe, obviously their sponsor pubs, maybe banning a social for a week. You know, no one's going to miss not going to want to miss a Wednesday night out. So yeah.
And on the definition of breaking rules, if it's to do with during the game, like a yellow card or a sin bin or something like that, then I think the way we deal with it at the moment is alright, the fine of money, because everyone's on a tight budget here and no one wants to lose their money. If it's to do with outside of sports, Shani, I agree with what you're saying about banning people from their sponsored pub for that Wednesday night. I don't think they should be allowed to go out if they've gone against the union. And also, yeah, sitting down with people first is a key thing to do, because if you just immediately just snap your fingers and say, right, that's it, you're fined, you're banned, blah, 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 they're going to immediately turn around and start hating the sports ad. And that's the one thing that I don't want. I don't want people to hate me, I want people to like me, and I want people to be able to approach me and talk to me, because if we can talk to each other, we can find reasonable ways of dealing with everything.
I'm not going to lie, I actually don't have a Scooby. I could try and name you all the teams that I know, but that wouldn't be an exact number. Yeah, of course, I know football, rugby, hockey, American football, lacrosse. Everyone's becoming bigger and bigger every year. I think the smaller teams like tennis, taekwondo, swimming, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and name you all because I don't know. That's what I want to do though. I want to make the smaller teams more well known. Like I said, I've been here 4 years and I don't know all your teams. I want to know all your teams and I want to make more and more teams as the years go on. So
I'm not even going to try and remember the number, because when your mind goes blank, it goes blank. But I just, no matter how many teams are there at the moment, I just want to get every team involved. And I think a few ways that I've talked about in my manifesto will show that just promoting everything and everyone in every sport will get everyone around, and it will promote more funding and more space so we can find a big area for Sports Federation, and it allows everyone else to go as well.
Well, if I could just jump off my stool into the audience, in my handbag I've got a list of all the sports teams with "Get them to vote for you" written next to it. No, a little birdie told me earlier that there are 39 sports teams, including those at Broadstairs.
I honestly didn't know before Morgan says that. I'm not going to say 39 because I'm stealing her thunder. But yeah, I honestly didn't know, but I know that there are a lot more by a lot of small sports teams, but judging by the sort of committee meetings or the council meetings, there's only ever seems to be about 20 people turn up maximum, but I'd make sure that obviously everyone turns up. But yeah, honestly, I never knew before Morgan.
Okay, I did know there were 39, including the ones at Broadstairs, but we want to make the ones at Broadstairs better, so we will include them more.